How's it, guys? Woo! We made it. I don't know, maybe some of you are in doubt that should make it to 2026. I remember thinking 2025 in January, how far 2026 looked. But this is not what this is about. So, as you know, this channel is about how I came to Christ, how I've been experiencing Christ, what I've been working through, walking through, learning, and all that. And I'm sure, as you can guess, one of the most consistent things is prayer. And I generally don't always call it prayer. You know, whoever's got a problem with that, you know what, I don't have. Yeah. I call it talking to God, mainly because it's so unstructured. You know, I've tried the structuring thing, you know, the wake up at, and read so many, and sit this way, and, you know, and in the, this is a little bit of an aside from what I really want to talk about, but I just want to say, and I hope, I don't know who this might encourage, and I hope it does encourage somebody. I just want to say that in my not calling it per se prayer and just talking to God, I know it sounds like splitting hairs, and could be, or the hardliners might want it to be called prayer. But what I'm finding is that it's not necessarily because I don't call prayer, but even in my unstructuredness, I'm finding that I am walking with less stumbling with Christ, because in a sense I'm doing it my way, which makes it natural. And I've got nothing against anybody who wants to do set structure or whatever, because I know there's people who are told by the church to wake up at such and such a time, to pray for how long. You know, those people can do it, and I've never been able to do it. I remember when I lived with my aunt, and this lady is so disciplined, and I think we used to wake up at 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. to pray. And initially I started like praying in the bedroom, that okay, no, I'll get on my knees on next to the bed. And no, that didn't work. Very soon I was getting comfortable, putting my head comfortably on the blanket, on the mattress, and very soon I'm out. So I moved to the lounge. And at the one time, my snoring woke me up. I don't know how long I've been praying. I must have been 30 seconds or 3 seconds, and I was out. And even as a youngster, when we went on these youth camp things, this girl, I think I might have shared this earlier, this girl I was sharing a dorm with, Lord, she was just so, she did the whole toot, you know, she got up, she, in her nightie, in the chair, by the desk, Bible open, and at it, you know, and her back was dead straight, so I don't know, unless she sleeps like a horse, standing up, kind of dead straight and not slumping. Anyway, I was out. I passed out. So, and the reason I'm mentioning this now is that, and how natural the way I'm doing things now is that what it caused this struggle to do like everybody else, what it caused for me was just huge anxiety and stress, and never getting it right, not knowing if God answered me because I fell asleep, or, you know, all those things. And basically what that did is that it put all the focus on me and none on God. And what I'm doing now, structured or not, is that I am, you know, this second language business, the English is gone. What's the word now? Intentional. Thank you. I am intentional about connecting with God. And I know He lives in us, but he also wants to communicate with us. It's like spouses. You live together, but it doesn't mean you want to be in total silence all the time simply because the other person is there, Yeah. So, brings me way, I know I went all the way to Cape Town to get to Cairo. My point was this: in prayer, I pray over just about everything, anything. So, Mafikeng is screamingly hot when it gets hot. And this year we haven't had as much rain as the other few years. So it's been nasty hot. Like bad attitude, cashier who doesn't want the job kind of crazy hot and hostile hot, Anyhow, so every so often, then I would be praying and just saying, oh God, please help us get some rain. We need rain and all of that. And as I'm going through things that I'm asking God for, and one of those obviously being the rain, but one of those being personal, like things like health and what have you, because during this heat, funny enough, a few people have had the sniffles. And sorry about my nose. So sorry, guys. So I felt like I was getting the sniffles. And I do know that, funny enough, when it's extremely hot for some reason, my nose is a bit more moist. Sorry for grossing everybody out. Yeah, so I was like, I don't want to get I don't want to get a flu, I don't want to get a cold. And so I'm praying and I'm saying to God, I'm like, no flu formed against me shall prosper. I don't want to get cold, I don't want to get cold. Then I suddenly this thought comes through that, why am I saying it in that way? And so I had a bit of a brain freeze. I'm like, how else would I say it? So I hope I say this clearly. I hope I make myself clear, because the other way I could say it is by simply using only the word that I've learned without even mentioning the sickness at all. For example, I can say, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and then go on to say, thank you, Jesus, for the complete work of the cross and your blood that has made me whole, and I walk in divine health. Now, you might ask, or you might say, but it's the same thing, And, or somebody could say, but is that not like pretending like the issue does not exist? And I'm like, actually, no. When you've got something health-wise, when your body is upset, it rings such loud bells that you cannot ignore it, especially when you're not well, like I can have a headache for 2-3 days and I can just ignore it, and then, I can have a headache for a while and then I'm like, oh yeah, I had a headache, it's gone now. And then I have the headache again, it's like, oh, it's a headache, and then I just ignore it and it goes away, However, if, for example, not so long ago, I had a health issue, I had to go to the doctor. I was so unwell, and I was so upset that I'm not well, because I hate being unwell. I don't like going to the doctor. It makes me anxious. It spikes my BP. I actually warned the doctor. I let them know that, listen, if my BP is not okay, it's probably because I'm here in front of you, sharing this room with you. I don't want to be here. And I haven't had positive medical experiences. The big ones that were not positive was so awful that it's really, I want nothing to do with that. So anyhow, so I was not well. And during that time, I could barely articulate anything I'd learned from the word related to health. So a lot of times I would just end up just going, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. And then getting a bit mad because I'm like, Jesus, you can see I'm not well. Why aren't you doing something about it? But it's all happening inside my head. I'm not saying it. And, it's just, I'm just feeling, I'm just feeling not okay. So I guess what I'm saying and what I'm encouraging us to do is that we don't have to mention whatever the issue is. And the reason I say that is for this reason, guys. We are very negative as humans, and we are very inclined to agree and catch quickly the negative report, the ugly gossip. Well, there's no good gossip, and the uglies of life. We're very quick that way. However, how many of us know of good news channels? I think I know 2 or 3. I think there's 2 which is on YouTube, and I think there's a 3rd one in the US. That's like a news channel, or they have a piece in their news that is good news, But do you see like how hard I have to look? But if you ask me any news channels that I know, any newspapers, they'll roll off. It won't be difficult. Even now as I'm speaking to you, it's happening in my mind. I'm already listing these places. So I guess what I'm saying is that, guys, we need, the word says that we need to renew our minds. And in renewing our minds, I believe part of that is also that, I don't know how true it is, any Native Americans can bear out with me or correct me. There's this Native American saying about 2 wolves, and which wolf you feed, and the wolf you feed is the one that will be stronger. And sorry if I didn't say it properly, but that's the analogy I want to make. So we have made already strong negativity that we speak, and even though we know that what we speak we will have, but we continue to speak this. I remember recently I was on a call with a friend of mine, and I hadn't talked to her in a little while, and it was in a short space of time, and I was grousing about somebody, grousing. And look, the person I was complaining about, it was real complaints. It was for real. This person was what I was saying to this friend of mine, but I didn't need to talk about that person, and in that fashion. And after the phone call, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh, my poor friend called me, and all I did was like, all this negativity. And look, she empathized with me, and we exchanged bad people stories. And I was like, we could have talked about other things, and we often do, and we laugh, about the other things that we talk about. We laugh so much more, and these others we don't laugh so much, So that's my encouragement, that let's move towards being more word-filled than world-filled. And the reason I say that is because we come across situations where we will need the word, where we will not have preparation to use that word. If you consider Jesus at 12, and where he had all those teachers mystified about how great his answers are and everything, or when they had gone pilgrimage with his parents, and then thereafter that scripture, then it goes on to say Jesus grew in stature and in wisdom, and I don't remember what else. And then the other thing it mentioned was in favor with both God and man, right? And then Jesus is 18 maybe years later, he's in a desert and he's being tempted by the enemy. At no point in that conversation does Jesus address Satan for Satan, He only his response was pure word. How can pure word be wrong? You know? So yeah, this is what I was saying, that let's lean in to this very positive, life-bringing, encouraging, strengthening aspect of being word-filled. There is a negative connotation kind of saying of being so heavenly minded, you're no earthly use. And that came out of when people were being hyper Christian. You know, they're just being ridiculous. And I think we all know what kind of people we're talking about. However, when we are heavenly minded in the Jesus-centric way, we are very much earthly good. And I'm sure you can think about that and see the merit of what I'm saying. And I just want to say it one more time. I'm not a theologian. I love reading my Bible. Well, I love going through the Bible, whether it's reading or hearing or whatever. And I love coming across all these different aspects of Jesus throughout the Bible. And I love Jesus, yes. But I feel like I could love him more. And this is just me. And I'm not loving the Bible the way I am loving the Bible now because I intended to. I love it in the same manner that I love books. You know, I love, especially when I'm reading it for the first time, you know, and it's a good story, you know. You want to read it so fast, but you also don't want to read it too fast. And you want to pace yourself, but you are so excited to, you know, if you're a reader, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so guys, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me and continuing with me on this diary convos. Yeah, let's see what this year does. And yeah. Okay, guys, this is Neo from Flaming Mafeking. It's still flaming hot. Jesus, give us some rain. Thank you so much. Love you all. Take care. Bye.